ESPNPC.com. The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge is sponsored by PCB Hobby, Pepsi, and Panama City Toyota.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For this afternoon and evening, a mixture of light sprinkles and some clouds and a high of 70 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. Slight fog and some clouds tonight and quite warm near 65. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by some clouds and 72 tomorrow. 74 and a variety of some clouds and sprinkles Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Want to bet on sports but no clue where to start? Millions of players are already making moves on Hard Rock Bet. Your friends might be winning. Why not you? Bet with confidence. Bets by real players help guide your picks. Go with the crowd and cash in on the wins. Any pick that catches your eye. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us. Win your first bet or get up to $100 back in bonus bets. Payable and bonus bet up to $100. Not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and up and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
That boot store reminds you with the warmer weather usually means spring is just around the corner. That boot store will help you celebrate any time of the year with one of the widest selections of Western wear in the area. They can fit the smallest to the largest, so bring the family and dress up Western style at an affordable price. Carhartt work clothes are available too. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5, Friday and Saturday, 9 till 5:30. Next to Bill Burke at 15th Street, that boot store where God is good all the time.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. That's 800-605-4650.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the next evolution of sports radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat.
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros, interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, and good Thursday morning. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City and Panama City Beach, located right here off of Navy Drive. Those signs looking good out there. And, of course, you can also listen to us if you're over there in Port St. Joe on 101.9. As always, you can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all those things. We really appreciate the shares on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search up ESPN Northwest Florida. You'll find us right there. We are live every day. We got the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9, Inside Drive from 11 to 1, and, of course, the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. You can watch it live, listen to it live, or go back and watch it after the fact and go see some of the crazy things that we're probably incorrect in saying, which have been known to do every once in a while. That is for sure. And as always, I say it every show, download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do there is search up 104.3, and it'll pop up on your first page of search engines there. That way you can keep listening to the game and take us anywhere that you go, as long as you got cell phone service, of course, which is pretty much everywhere nowadays. And last but not least, head over to ESPNPC.com. Multiple things to do on ESPNPC.com right now. A lot of great information on there as well. But one of those is the ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge. I think, Davey, you said we got about almost 35 people signed up now?
34 as of this morning.
All
so
right.
let's pump it up, man.
Yeah.
Let's get it to 50 before Selection Sunday.
Absolutely, and we'll get it over 103, and that's how many we had last year. We definitely got to beat last year's mark, that's for sure. We got to have more listeners and more people that want to compete, and of course, you can also share that group as well and invite friends. It is a public group, and we appreciate Panama City Toyota, PCB Hobby, and Buffalo Rock Pepsi for sponsoring that. If you're first, second, or third, you could certainly win some cash and prizes. I also want to give a big shout out to Golf Plus, our new studio sponsor. Alan Watson and his crew over there do a wonderful job. They've got all sorts of stuff. Obviously, club repair is one of their big things. Club fitting is one of their big things. And we'll have Alan on Mondays at 12:20. But some of the club repairs that they do, and, at Bay Point, we there's a few things we can do at Bay Point, mainly just regrips. But the club repair services that Golf Plus offers here at the Edgewater Shopping Plaza and up at the original store off of 231 in Dothan is they regrips. They can reattach the heads of your drivers or heads of any of your irons. And just a little tip for that, if you do have a set of clubs and it's in the summertime and you're leaving them in your car, that's going to give you more of an opportunity to potentially have one of those heads come off, as that epoxy can get kind of heated up and loosened up a little bit. And so if you want to avoid that happening, take your clubs out of your car when you get home. They also can save grips for you, which is something a lot of people don't realize. That's a tricky, challenging process, and Golf Plus can certainly do that for you. Swing weight adjustments, that's part of the club fitting process. And then they can extend or cut down shafts. They can swap out shafts, lie and loft adjustments, and of course, if they can swap out shafts, they can also reshaft there for you. And they can also regroove irons and wedges. One of those things people don't realize, you hit a lot of wedges, those grooves start to get worn down. You may not have as much spin as you used to, and getting your wedges especially regrooved can go a long way for making it easier to stick balls there on the green. But go check out Golf Plus. Unbelievable staff. They really know what they're doing. We recommend all of our people to head over there for any club repair services, and even club fitting services are fantastic. Club fitting is one of the most important things when it comes to getting better at the game of golf, and Golf Plus can make it easy and take great care of you. That was our former studio sponsor, their tagline there. But right here at Edgewater Shopping Plaza, and of course up there in 231, or off of 231 in Dothan. Coach Brian Haddad joining me today, and I think most Thursdays going forward, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I got to complete the Holy Trinity here.
Yeah, you're a very familiar name on the ESPN Northwest Florida family of networks. So
pinch hitter. There you go.
There you go. And you get called up out of the dugout quite often to pinch hit, especially sometimes with Coach James Hale. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you, that's for sure.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and we're certainly drinking from the fire hose of college basketball right now. Yeah. And if you're a college basketball fan, which I am a huge college basketball fan, it's pretty much, it doesn't get much better than this. Obviously, we got Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starts at 5 p.m. Then, obviously, once the bracket's all set, you'll be able to fill it out and be part of that big bracket challenge. And I'm going to catch up real quick where we kind of left off yesterday with the NFL free agency. Some moves have kind of transpired in the last 15, 16 hours or so. We'll start with the former Cowboys running back Rico Dowdle has officially agreed to a one-year agreement with the Carolina Panthers, kind of returning home, so to speak. Rico is from Asheville, attended the University of South Carolina, and obviously had a breakout year last year, really the only running back that did anything for the Dallas Cowboys, and went just over 1,000 yards. So obviously the Carolina Panthers have released Miles Sanders and I forget the other running back they released. Obviously, Yes, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
Chuba Hubbard was the only one left on the, their starting running back roster, so that'll obviously be a nice 1-2 punch there for them. The Eagles added a backup running back for the highest paid running back in the league, Saquon Barkley. They added former running back A.J. Dillon from the Green Bay Packers. They added him to a 1-year contract. So all the running back deals thus far, Najee Harris went to the Chargers. Aaron Jones re-signed with the Vikings. Javonte Williams went to the Cowboys. Rico Dowdle, as we just mentioned, went to the Panthers. A.J. Dillon to the Eagles. Kenneth Gainwell moved almost across the entire state, which takes a long way to get from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Moved over there to the Steelers. Former Niners running back Elijah Mitchell, now with the Kansas City Chiefs. Former Chiefs running back Samaje Perine, now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Khalil Herbert is now with the Indianapolis Colts. Ty Johnson with the Bills. And Jeremy McNichols with the Commanders. A couple other moves that went down. Free agent defensive lineman Dietrich Wise agreed to a 1-year deal with the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders, I think, are having one of the better free agent seasons right now, and they're just doing a wonderful job. And then the big news from last night, I don't really know how to feel about it, but former Jaguars backup, former Patriots starter, Mac Jones, heading over to the San Francisco 49ers on a 2-year, $7 million deal with $5 million guaranteed. I'm going to get you a Mac Jones jersey, David Hayes.
There you go, man. I'll sport it like he's the starting quarterback.
We were talking about it before the show started. It kind of completes the loop on the whole draft day drama from a few years back.
Absolutely. What do you mean when we took the standout quarterback, Trey Lance, who played, I think, 11 total games in his college career, and obviously that didn't pan out very well. Like I said to you before the show, at least we got a draft pick for him.
That's right.
That was the Cowboys' problem, and I know they've since released him as well. But, Mac Jones heading to work. He's been wanting to work with Kyle Shanahan, and like you said, when that the draft went down, I think that was 2021.
Correct.
Mac Jones, a lot of people thought the Niners were going to take Mac Jones, and they certainly didn't. But maybe Mac Jones will kind of follow the Sam Darnold footsteps, going from another team to a backup role with the San Francisco 49ers and then getting another opportunity somewhere else. And, of course, we know he signed a pretty decent deal there with the Seattle Seahawks. So a lot of quarterback movement. But, Brian, in free agency, two questions. Who do you think's done the best team-wise so far? And then the second question is, who do you think's got the best deal on a particular player?
Well, I haven't been able to follow probably enough specifics on the deals for the specific player. So that part I may not know. On paper, you would have to say the Commanders right now are killing it. Now, that being said, Commanders obviously one game away from the Super Bowl last year. And sometimes, even though you upgrade in talent, you can upset the balance of a team. In the locker room. So you have to be a little bit careful with bringing that in. And look, it may be that they come up, a game or two short of last year just by happenstance, and it won't have anything to do with that. But they've certainly gone out and said, we have a team we think is ready to take the next step, and we're going to try and augment that and go. So you have to be impressed with what they've done. I kind of like some of the moves New England has made as well.
They had the most cap space, and they've spent a lot of it. That's for sure.
Right, but it also looks to me like they're not just splashing at names. Like they're trying to fill positions of need and get guys that have some years. And, it looks good. They just released their center, longtime Captain Andrews, I read today.
Saw that,
again, with specific player, for me, it's hard to tell. I mean, it looks... I don't know. I would probably need more, info on kind of their contract and how much is guaranteed to know that, and I haven't followed that as closely. I was a little bit surprised the way the Darnold thing played out going to Seattle. I just didn't see Seattle as the spot there. I think it makes sense, obviously, once they kind of let Geno go to the Raiders, but I just didn't see that happening.
Yeah, I didn't have Seattle on my radar.
Yeah, and I'm still obviously... dying to see what's going to happen with Russell Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers, with
Aaron Rodgers,
Kirk Cousins
now released.
So there's a lot left to be, seen out there. I just saw Mason Rudolph's going back to the Steelers. So goodbye, Titans, thank God. But it's not like Levis gives us much, on the back end of that. But
speaking of your Titans, what do you think they're going to do with that first-round pick?
I think they're lamenting the fact that they finally got the first-round pick this year.
Yeah.
Because there don't seem to be a whole lot of people dying to move up. I still think there's a possibility they could work something with the Giants for it to where they go to 3, but the Giants also know that they don't need to be desperate in that spot.
Yeah.
Let's assume they end up keeping it. I do think they're probably going to go Abdul Carter, which is fine. I mean, to me, the best 2 players in this draft are Abdul Carter and Mason Graham.
Yeah.
I just think they're the best 2 players in the draft. Now, whether they're worthy or not of having to go with the number 1 pick, I don't know. But based on the fact that they haven't made any moves in the free agent quarterback market, they very well may go for Cam Ward. The problem with the Titans isn't so much their skill positions, even though this haven't been good. They have no one protecting them.
Yeah.
You know, the one move that they made where they brought in the tackle, he gave up the second most sacks of any tackle in the league to the number 1 guy who's on the other side of the line for the Titans. So the Titans have the 2 tackles who've given up the most sacks in the NFL. I don't know if that instills a whole lot of confidence for me and David going forward, but if I had to guess right now, I'd say they go Carter, but there is a good chance they go Cam Ward.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, they've drafted a lot of quarterbacks in recent years, and trying to get one of them to pan out. And, you know, is Cam Ward a guy that'll pan out? I mean, a lot of people aren't real high on him and his NFL ability, but, you know, to each his own. Until they get out there and start playing, you really, really don't know. I've actually been pretty impressed by the Chicago Bears so far in this offseason, just really doing what they need to do and the smart moves as an organization, you know, drafting centers, offensive guards, tackles, actually giving, you know, your number 1 draft pick from last year some protection and really find out what he can do. And obviously last year they added a lot of weapons for Caleb Williams, but you can't get the ball to your weapons if you don't have time to throw it.
And quietly, the Chargers are doing a pretty good job, I think, too. I mean, bringing in Najee, Mike Williams coming back, but they're doing them on short-term deals, which is kind of interesting to me. It doesn't look like they're getting tied with long-term money to things like this. They're getting guys who are hopefully trying to play for a contract, which would be good, and they're trying to put more weapons around Justin Herbert, which, you know, is obviously a good thing. But I don't know. The real winners who come out of this are going to be the things that don't get talked about enough are when the vet players restructure deals to allow things to be brought in. It's not sexy for the...
Like the Chiefs did.
That's right.
With Mahomes and Chris Jones.
Right. So, you know, there's going to be a lot that plays out, but it's all prelude to the draft, and then the draft happens. Then we'll get a better sense of how the teams look going into the season.
Absolutely. And that draft will be coming up towards the end of April, and a lot of things to get figured out. Obviously, one of the deeper running back classes we've had in a long time, but quarterback class, wide receiver class, kind of so-so in this one. But a lot of good defensive players as well, and I think you're going to see a lot of teams taking linemen on both sides of the ball in this draft coming up. Some other news real quick out of the NFL world. Ravens GM Eric DeCosta on the Baltimore acquisition of DeAndre Hopkins. We're happy to bring DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens. D-Hop is a player we have competed against and admired for a long time. He fits our style of play and is another weapon for our offense. We are excited to watch him and congratulate DeAndre and his family. So Ravens obviously, keep falling short, and they're trying to add another weapon there for Lamar.
Yeah. I mean, again, their problem is they're in the AFC.
Yeah.
They're one step away. The Bills are one step away. The Chiefs are always there.
Yep.
So, it's, they're trying to find that last piece, to get through, but so are the Bills. So it's going to be interesting in the AFC for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And then your NFC side of things, especially in the North, will be interesting to see if we have a repeat of like we did last year, or are we going to have the same level of success? Is Detroit going to be back there? Is Minnesota going to be able to do what they do with J.J. McCarthy at the helm? Not really sure yet. Obviously, we got to find that out. And will the Bears actually be a playoff team with Caleb Williams? And I think the ownership's doing what they need to do to potentially make that happen. So it's kind of a fun time of year with all this stuff going on leading up to the draft, but there's still a lot of things to get figured out. Where do you think, now that Aaron Rodgers has been officially released from the Jets, where do you think he's going to end up?
It's really hard to say at this point. I mean, the latest scuttle is maybe Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They've been talking about that. I originally thought when the Rams let Stafford test the market, I just had this feeling Stafford was going to leave and Rodgers somehow was going to end up out there. I thought he wanted to go back out to the West Coast. Then for a while after Geno went, I'm like, well, maybe he goes to Seattle. I had heard Tennessee. I wanted that a couple of years ago. I'm not sure I want it now because we needed somebody to, bridge about 3 years. I guess at this point you'd have to guess Pittsburgh's probably the best option for him. But now that Fields is gone, Pittsburgh may be happy with Russell Wilson. I don't know. It's really hard to read on that. There's not a lot coming out. I could also see Aaron Rodgers being a guy who says, I'll play for the league minimum somewhere just as a middle finger to everybody. I mean, he's that kind of guy. Yeah. So he may make himself available to one of these teams cheap, and who knows what happens. So.
Absolutely. What do you think about him staying in the New York market and moving over to the Giants?
It would be the most New York thing in the world if he did that and the Giants won the Super Bowl. I mean, the Jets just have the worst luck in the world with that stuff. I'd be surprised if they did that. The Giants, I think... the funny thing is they're not that far away. No. I mean, we've talked about this. I watched them at the end of the season, and they have weapons.
Yeah, they were trending in the right direction.
So it would be a good move. I don't know that that's the Giants' plan. Yeah. I think they want to do a more long-term option. But, maybe you bring in an Aaron Rodgers and try and get a year or two bridge while you go draft a quarterback. And again, if he comes cheap... might not be a bad play.
No doubt at all. And especially, Danny Dimes going to the Colts. Yeah. Do you think he pushes Anthony Richardson to get better, or do you think he's a legitimate contender to have that starting job?
Neither.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a serviceable backup who has experience.
With a guy that with a starter that's known for getting hurt.
I don't for a second believe that they're considering those guys competing for the job.
Gotcha.
And, maybe he makes Richardson be better just because... he may show him something that he, picked up, and Anthony takes it to heart, but that's going to be the extent of it. Richardson's the clear number one.
Yeah, absolutely. And a very popular rookie card as well in the card world, no doubt about that. Obviously, when we come back from our first break, we'll be joined by Chris Fall, kind of recapping the middle school boys basketball season. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier this week with Jinx winning the county championship, and do want to give a little prelude. We'll talk about it later in the final segment, but the girls' county soccer championship gets underway tonight, or this afternoon, at 4 p.m. And it's the fourth straight year that Bayhaven Charter Academy and University Academy will face off in the final. University Academy trying to make it 2 years in a row. That's no three-peat like Jinx, but the cool thing is County AD Josh Latch, he got the game live streamed for Jinx in North Bayhaven. He's also going to have it live streamed this afternoon as well. And our scoreboard is officially working. I was out there at school this morning. We had a big power surge a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately took out the brand new scoreboard. But they got it fixed just in time for the county championship coming up tonight. But Coach Brian Haddad in studio with us. David Hayes behind the glass. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive. Middle school basketball coming up next.
The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge.
March Madness is incoming, and for the most bracket-busting fun, we've got you covered. This Sunday, find out who is going to the big dance. Selection Sunday coverage starts at 5. Then, fill out your bracket by going to ESPNPC.com and clicking Big Bracket Challenge. Free to play, and you can win cash and prizes from your home for March Madness.
It's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For this afternoon and evening, a mixture of light sprinkles and some clouds and a high of 70 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. Slight fog and some clouds tonight and quite warm near 65. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by some clouds and 72 tomorrow. 74 and a variety of some clouds and sprinkles Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Stowbros Self-Storage, offering convenient, clean, and affordable storage for all your needs. Secure your items hassle-free with excellent customer service. Simply go to www.stowbros.com now to reserve your unit today, or call us at 850-250-4414. That's 850-250-4414. Stowbros Self-Storage at 2726 East 15th Street for local service that can't be beat. Give us a call or rent storage online today at stowbros.com.
Beach Pizza, formerly Marcy's Pizza, is back with more hours and more pizza. Beach Pizza has new owners and now open every day, 11 to 11. Pizza by the slice, whole pies, wings, pretzels, garlic knots, and more choice eats in East PCB. I finally tried a slice, and it was a thin crust, totes, cheesy slice of paradise. 8815 B Thomas Drive. Online at beachpizzapcb.com. Call ahead, 850-775-4053.
This is not for the casual fan. This is for the warriors. This is for the legends.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coach Brian Haddad and now Chris Fall in studio. I went from not having anybody to now I've got two, and it's a beautiful thing. Chris, how you doing today?
Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning indeed. I think we'll get your mic on. Mic's on now.
Hey, there we go. Hey, good morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
Details.
Yes, minor details. But yeah, obviously, we've kind of been highlighting the middle school games, standings, championship all throughout the season. How do you think it went this year with everybody? Obviously, Jinx ran it back again for a county three-peat, which is pretty impressive there.
Well, it's funny. We talked about it all season, right? Jinx was the team to beat. What are you going to give them a run or all that? I have got to throw it out there to North Bay Haven and Danny Hicks and those guys. That was probably one of the better championship games I've seen since I moved here.
Coach Latch said the atmosphere was almost second to none with that particular game. And was it just one overtime? One overtime. And very close. And North Bay Haven in most sports in middle school has done a wonderful job this season, competing in a lot of different things. But yeah, hard to believe it's gone and past already. But Jinx winning back to back county championships. Coach Old's doing a great job out there. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, let's highlight some of those guys in that championship game. I mean, everyone's deserving of mention, but
absolutely.
There were some players at North Bay Haven that has really been strong catalysts for that team's success this year. We haven't really talked too much about Zane Humans. We've mentioned EJ Lowe and some other guys over there, but the guard over there, Zane, is someone that really had a great game against Jenks. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. But just watching that game, I think Zane and EJ from North Bay Haven were able to withstand Jenks' pressure. I mean, it was just a phenomenon. If you follow basketball, the game was exactly how a basketball game flows. Punching each other in the mouth at the beginning of the game, settling in, finding out what worked. But it was exciting to have such that atmosphere like you talked about. I went to the Chipley Graceville Regional Final, and it was just like that. I mean, just old
middle
school basketball.
That's what's even better.
People on the walls, the refs getting intimidated by the crowd. It was just fantastic. And I mean that in a positive way because of the atmosphere.
Yeah, no doubt. But, again, I always give a big shout-out to Latch, who I think has done a wonderful job with middle school sports in general, adding more teams, having more games being played, and this year, and it allowed University Academy to play an additional game, and they ended up beating Breakfast Point Academy and got 7th place, and for them that's a big deal because they haven't made the playoffs really. I don't know the last time prior to this year, and obviously there was 8 spots this year, and they got that 7th seed spot. But I just appreciate everything he does to bring a lot of light to these middle school kids because, let's face it, they're the future of high school sports, and we got to get on board now because we want to follow them and see how good they do. Any other kids you want to potentially highlight?
Yeah, I mean, JC, you just got to kind of throw it out to the whole group. Yeah. They have some dominant players. They've got good guard play. They've got good insides. I think one of the reasons Jinx was so good this year was their physicality inside. I don't know if you got to see them play, but their bigs are just phenomenal young athletes. They're going to have a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, how much time we got? I could name 20, 30 kids, but I think the reality is when we talk to the coaches, right, didn't really want to name one or two.
Yeah,
so I
get that. I get it.
I think maybe we don't go down that road and talk about every kid's, top 2 or 3. I think it was just a wonderful season. And from talking to the coaches, they didn't want to recognize one. They wanted to recognize multiple kids, which I think is the right way to go.
Absolutely. But obviously, next year it'll be Jinx for a chance to do a 4-peat, and we'll see if they can keep reloading. Obviously, a lot of times you can have 3 really good years in a row. It's kind of what University Academy soccer is dealing with right right now. We've had 3 really good sets of kids, and now they're all 8th graders, and 10 of those 10 of the team from this year will be leaving after this year, moving on to high school, and so it's kind of where we see on the basketball side as well.
Can I make a bold prediction?
Absolutely.
I'm calling it right now. Jinx is going to four-peat.
Whew, I like it. We'll remember this day, March 13th, 2025.
It's a big challenge to the other 9 schools.
Yeah.
But for what Jinx has coming back and what I've seen in the middle school section, they're going to be awful tough to beat again.
Now, does Jinx kind of flow into Bay High, or is there no connection with
that's a great question. But from what I've seen too, and great, like you and I didn't grow up with the school choice or where you want to go.
Yeah.
It's fun to listen to ballers talk and like travel practice or, at a rec game or watching a high school game or even at each other's games. A lot of those have formed really good friendships. So like a good example of a Mowat or a Jenks, those guys are going to Bay, they're going to Mosley. I've heard some of them want to go to Arnold. It's just really, it's a different world from when you and I grew up. And I think that Jenks pretty much feeds into Bay. Okay. But you'll see Jenks players, I think, at multiple schools, as will any high school with a feeder system, for a way to say it.
Yeah, and obviously a place like North Bay Haven that goes all from K through 12, they can kind of continue working them into the system they want to go into, and that only bodes well for future varsity and JV basketball there for North Bay Haven. I know all of us are not big Duke fans here in ESPN Northwest Florida. It looks good to see Georgia Tech. Richard Sanders is Georgia Tech.
There you go.
Out to a great start. I believe it was 19-10 or something like that. Yeah, 19-10, about halfway through the first half. So we'll keep you updated on this game. David, I wonder what the live line is in this one.
It was 13.5, so I'd say Georgia Tech at that.
Getting 13.5?
Yeah.
Woo! Wonder what it is now.
I will tell you.
Because if it's more than 10, I'll jump all over it.
It is. Hold on, I scrolled down and started looking at the other games. Plus 10.5 now. Ooh. And it's 21-12 live-wise.
There we go.
There you go. Oh, so okay, 21.
Plus 500 money line.
So Dollar says Georgia Tech scores a 2 here. Hard Rock's always ahead of the stream, that's for sure.
So I've got a question for you, Chris. Piggybacking off what you were talking about, like predicting with middle school, obviously that's assuming everybody's back and this, that, or the other. We talk a lot on all of the shows about school of choice, and it's obviously a bigger issue with high school. Do you see a lot of bouncing around at the middle school level with that kind of thing? I mean, and not even just for athletics, just for whatever reasons.
Definitely not, Ryan. You remember last year we talked about a particular athlete, and I don't want to bring out his name, but he played 2 basketball seasons, played at North Bay Haven and then another school. And then even this year in high school, right, some of our better athletes in town, or some of those guys that are really focused on athletics and academics, played football for one team and then transferred from basketball season to another. So for me, I see more and more of it, and I think high school we're going to see more and more of it. It's a different age where, kids kind of have a choice of where they want to go with their parents. If they don't like a coach, as wrong as I think that is, they still will bop around as much as they want.
Sure.
And I do warn parents of this. If you do that, that's okay. If you go to 3 or 4 high schools, there is not a college coach that's going to look at that in a favorable way.
Right.
If you're trying to get to the next level. Like, why are you going to 4 different schools in 4 years?
Yep.
So I'm a little bit old school on the loyalty. Sometimes changes I think are merited and needed, or maybe there's not a good fit somewhere, but for these guys, they're doing 3 or 4 schools for middle school. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's wild. Heck, Arnold had a player from Seattle, Washington that came in just for this season to play with Arnold. And then I think now that the season's over, don't quote me on this, I need to follow up with Jonah, but I think went back to finish his senior year at his high school in Seattle. So,
and I can't confirm this, but the classifications, right? We start at rural and work our way up. So I was told that one of the rural powerhouses had kids from Las Vegas that came to play basketball this year. Rural class Florida, kids coming from Nevada to play hoops. And I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure
And
that's
there's
right.
a whole lot of, especially in football, Madison County has always been the power. Yeah. And the problem there is they're essentially 2 or 3 schools wrapped into one because those schools aren't able to offer it. And so in reality, they have the enrollment of like a 3-4A school, but are considered rural, and there's all kind of little, loopholes and workarounds and everything that have driven coaches crazy for decades. So.
Well, and it blows my mind, like with for an example, phenomenal basketball season, made it to state, no one was expecting that, but Graceville didn't have their football program. So I give even more credit to the basketball program because they lost, the dual sport athletes weren't playing there, so they went to Chipley or another school to play football. So they lost some varsity starter basketball players because they didn't have the football program.
That's an excellent point. I had not considered at all going into that because it was obviously a big story when they weren't going to run their football season, but you don't think about the impact that will have on the other sports, and you're exactly right. That did have a huge impact, and like you said, makes their run, to state that much better. So that's pretty interesting. I hadn't even thought of that one.
Yeah, and I think you see a lot more of that as we go forward every year. And, Ryan and I talked about it last year. I'm not completely against school choice, but I do think it's getting a little out of hand.
Yeah. I've never liked the fact that you could bounce like 2 or 3 times within the same academic.
Yeah, that's just
that's
bizarre.
The part I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
But
What are we putting first there, academics or athletics?
I mean, if you're playing football one school, basketball one, baseball at another, I think something's broken.
Yep, no doubt. But I'm sure the FHSAA will continue to just change random things whenever they want to.
My favorite organization.
Yes, a great organization, that's for sure. But luckily, we've got some great coaches and some great ADs right here in Bay County that do a wonderful job. So pretty interesting.
Your point on Josh is spot on. I mean, Josh Baucom's always done a great job too, but Josh has really the changes in the short time he's been here. If you're following high school and middle school sports, thank you, Josh. We really appreciate both of y'all, but for mine, the pet peeve was the 28-5 basketball with the boys for years and years, and thank you.
Yeah,
that's something.
Seems like something so simple that had to have so much work go into it to get changed is kind of wild. But
I've got to ask you real quick to tangent for a second. Prediction for the UA soccer game today. I heard the last segment, but
yeah, it's gonna be.
Who got it last year? I don't remember. Was it?
It was us in PKs. The year before it was Bayhaven in PKs, and then I think the year before that I don't know that one because I wasn't really involved yet. But I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I could see it being like kind of a 2-1 game, maybe even a 1-0 game. The first game we played them in the season was our first game of the season, and we won that 1-0. So it's all you're gonna want out of a championship game. I mean, and the cool thing about these two teams is a lot of the players on UA and Bayhaven play on the same club teams, so they all know each other, and it's very competitive, and they have a lot of fun while they're playing. But then on the sideline with the parents, they want the bragging rights for the next year of, when they go to all these different tournaments together, remember who won the county championship, yada, yada, yada. But
and I haven't had a chance to go because usually those games are around basketball time for the girls' side.
Yep.
What's the atmosphere like out there for that matchup?
Our atmosphere for the semifinal was fantastic. I mean, the cheerleaders come out with a lot of fans. The cool thing about University Academy is it's, just like Brecka's point, it's located in the Sweet Bay neighborhood, so kids can just hop on their bikes, their scooters, whatever, come up to the field, and it's a very tight. It's a smaller field, but the sidelines are basically where everybody puts chairs and sits. So it's like you're on top of the game, and a lot of fun. So, and like I said, the scoreboard is now working because it got zapped earlier this year during a storm event. So perfect timing. Obviously, when that kind of stuff happens, you got to go through your insurance company and file a claim and wait for it to get done. And luckily, it got done right before the county championship. So looking forward to that tonight. And we've got there's some names on UA. There's some names on Bayhaven as well that you're going to hear in the varsity soccer world as well. A couple shout outs to some of our girls on UA. Ziona Bell, who's just an absolute monster when it comes to soccer. She's fast, she can shoot, she's got great handles. Cheney Humphreys, Aubrey Davis, who's just a 7th grader, so we get her for one more year. And I think I'm missing one of our, and then Ella Granger is another great striker that we have. But remember the name Ziona Bell, or as we call her, Z. Just she's so fun to watch. Her ability to handle the soccer ball and break people's ankles left and right is just a sight that I would encourage a lot of people to get out there and watch.
Who's the keeper? I played goalie in high school.
Lauren Canute, okay. And she
always got to give a shout out to the keepers.
And that's what I played all the way growing up until high school. I played keeper because there was a gentleman from South America that was really, really good, and at that point I knew that my soccer days were over. But she had a great semifinal game, made 4 or 5 saves, and just came out and challenged really well and made some good decisions. But she'll be very important in the game coming up this afternoon because Bayhaven's going to get some shots on us for sure, and hopefully she'll come up big. But it's exciting. I mean, it's what I obviously I coach not only this, but a lot of other sports as well. And I always tell my kids that, I can't do this stuff anymore. You've got to enjoy this while you can. This is the stuff that we look back on and talk about that we miss so much and we can't do. And, when you're a kid, you don't realize that. And I really try to instill that with a lot of our kids and realize that the opportunities they have out there, this doesn't come very often, and it's just so much fun. But, yeah. And kudos to UA and everybody involved in getting the gym, getting the new turf field, because...
is there a nickname yet? I'm cheesy. Is there a nickname for the gym yet? The Eagle's Nest. We got anything?
Because it's named after Jacob Fish.
Right.
It's the Jacob Fish Gymnasium. So David
dubbed
it the Fish Bowl.
Oh, Fish Bowl.
The Fish
Okay.
Bowl. Yep. So, and a lot of pressure for Miles and Taggart if they move up and play middle school basketball to play in a gym named after their dad. So, pretty cool stuff. Nothing yet for the field, but the gym has been dubbed the Fish Bowl. So, again, kudos to everybody who made all that stuff happen out there, because the campus looks very, very cool, and the kids that go there are very lucky to have all those amenities. There's no doubt about it.
So I'm going to tangent you with one more question. Someone asked me the other day, and I wasn't too sure. If you want to go to UA, it's a lottery, right?
Yep.
Kind of really quick. I had 2 athletes that were in 4th grade in our SES league that asked about UA. So, I'll find out for you.
Yeah. So basically, it's already went out. I don't know if it's open anymore, but they usually open the lottery up in, February, late January, February, something like that, and you apply, and then you find out if you get in or not. Because it is a charter school, but it is a lottery to get in. And, obviously I'm a big advocate of University Academy. Both my kids have gone there for a while. Education is fantastic, and our sports are really moving up, especially both boys and girls soccer. The boys soccer team won the county championship earlier this year.
Who did they beat?
They beat Surfside in the final, and it was a good game. I think they won that 3-1. But the semifinal game, I believe that one was against North Bay Haven, and that one went to penalty kicks. So it was a very competitive tournament going through. But
do they do the extra time and then PKs?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And in middle school, I believe it's 5 minutes, and then PK. Whereas in high school, it's 10.
Do you guys remember in the old days of soccer, they just play it out until someone scored? I think the '86 World Cup might have been the last time they stopped that. But I remember watching Germany and England one year, and it was like
kept going.
3 a.m. They just kept playing.
Yeah. Well, and that was the worry, was injuries, and obviously the amount of wear on them. And I'll be honest with you, the one thing I wish they bring back, I loved the golden goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was great when you went into the extra time. I think that much extra sense of urgency was good. But
definitely, I mean, and it's a shame sometimes, and maybe that's not the right term, but when you have such a good game between 2 good teams and it goes down to penalty kicks.
Yeah.
Like it's almost so anticlimactic, because really the shooter has such a massive advantage in PKs, and not only in soccer but ice hockey as well. So it's almost like you took such a good thing and then you had to get it to end. So why not just do a golden goal?
I agree. I hate PKs, but it's a necessary evil, because you can't just keep playing. There is one thing. If you're old enough, you remember the old NASL. When Pele and Beckenbauer and all the guys came over, what they would do is basically they would have like almost a shot clock. It wasn't just a PK. They would, I think, pick it up at the center line, and it was like hockey, basically.
Okay. So it was like a breakaway.
It was like a breakaway, but you had a certain amount of time, and the keeper could move around. It was an interesting way of doing it. I don't know if it's better, but it was interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting for sure. So our head coach, Ian Krelling, texted me the actual. So in 2022, UA won in PKs. In 2023, Bay Haven won 1-0, and then last year, UA won in PKs as well. So kind of a rivalry that will be renewed on the UA turf coming up later on this afternoon. So
tailgate for this one, or
yeah, absolutely tailgate. We'll have I think we'll have some concerts out there as well.
I saw them doing the stage.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely. They're getting everybody fired up for it. That's for sure. Ooh, 26-12, Georgia Tech up on Duke. I should have jumped on that 10.5.
Ramblin' Wreck, baby.
That's right. Probably a little less now, but obviously not going to threaten Duke's tournament opportunities, but also would
5.5 now.
Oof, yeah, bummer. I should have took the 10.5, but I was too busy talking. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Players' Championship, which got underway this morning. Chris, I appreciate you jumping in. You want to give us a quick pick for the Players? And I forgot to set up a draft.
That was going to be my off-air question. Are we doing DK this weekend?
I forgot to.
No.
I'm bummed about that.
Maybe we do a Saturday after the cut.
Yeah, there you go. A little weekend only.
You know who I'm a homer for when it comes to golf. At least you should see in my DK lineups. I love Bryson, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, he's not playing.
Right. But,
maybe soon. Hopefully.
So I'll always take DeChambeau whenever he's available. But I don't know. Who do you got?
I really like Hideki Matsuyama going into this week. He's got great course history there. I was on the 2 Off the Tee podcast with my co-host Keith Fleming, and we actually had Kelly Singh on. And I say that because Aaron Rai is currently leading the tournament, and she had him as kind of a dark horse pick there.
Is Chase playing?
No, he's not qualified for
it. I gotcha.
Yeah. I think it's 48 out of the top 50 in the world, and then however else you qualify. But it is a full field event, which is nice to see.
It's Colin playing, no Cower.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's my pick. I'll take. What's Colin's at? What's Colin at?
Well, and he's got good juju going in because his caddy hit a hole-in-one in the practice round.
Yep.
So
he also had an interview last week after Bay Hill where he took a lot of criticism because he decided he just didn't want to talk to the media, which, I understand. Coming off the golf course, you just blew a lead and lost. But at the same time, I feel like professional athletes, that's one of their requirements of being a professional
athlete.
Part
of the
deal. But anyway, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. Again, Chris, thanks for stopping by, and looking forward to getting the season going here with your basketball team.
Agreed. I agree. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. You guys listen to the Inside Drive. We'll be back talking some TPC Players Championship coming up next.
The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge.
March Madness is incoming, and for the most bracket-busting fun, we've got you covered. This Sunday, find out who is going to the big dance. Selection Sunday coverage starts at 5. Then, fill out your bracket by going to ESPNPC.com and clicking Big Bracket Challenge. Free to play, and you can win cash and prizes from your home for March Madness.
It's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Introducing Water Clear Pools, the home of the 10-week pool guarantee. We guarantee custom pool completion from permit to your first swim in 10 weeks or less. Water Clear Pools is the premier pool builder for the Margaritaville development on Highway 79. Free quotes and custom pools anywhere in Northwest Florida. Call now, 850-835-4177, or see our website, waterclearpool.com. Licensed and insured. License number CPC 1459723.
Snow Bros Self-Storage, offering convenient, clean, and affordable storage for all your needs. Secure your items hassle-free with excellent customer service. Simply go to www.snowpros.com now to reserve your unit today, or call us at 850-250-4414. That's 850-250-4414. Snow Bros Self-Storage at 2726 East 15th Street for local service that can't be beat. Give us a call or rent storage online today at snowpros.com.
Pier Park, get ready to shake things up. Paradise Nutrition is opening soon. Craving flavor and fitness? We've got you covered. Loaded teas, protein-packed shakes, gourmet coffees, and refreshing drinks. From our signature Jimmy Buffett tea to Reese's Shake, Paradise Nutrition has over 600 flavor combos. Need energy? Appetite control? We've got add-ons like boba, biotin, collagen, and probiotics. Plus, try our donut hole shot appetite suppressant. Paradise Nutrition, Pier Park, next to Target.
We're betting the limit and covering the spread.
Viva Las Vegas!
The Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay.
Thank you. Nice to be in Vegas.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Kind of diving into the Players Championship a little bit.
I'm looking at JT's scorecard here. It's
what's he doing? I know early on he was doing a little bit better.
Well, he went off on the back. He birdied 11. He birdied 16. Doubled 17, tripled 18.
Ooh, that's
he currently sits at 7 over par through 15 holes on the day, tied basically for last on the course.
Man, that's tough. And 17, just it's not that hard of a hole, but he must have just hit it. Well, let me look at
Matsuyama's sitting at 4 over through 15.
So much for him being a good pick.
We'll go back and we'll erase that part of the show.
There you go. But currently your lead is Alex Smalley at 4 under, Aaron Rai at 4 under, Bo Hostler, a name I haven't heard in a while, at 3 under, and then Jordan Spieth so far off to a good start at 3 under par through 14 holes. He also started on the back nine. Stefan Jaeger at 3 under par. and a slew of people, in addition to Sepp Straka, who we were really talking about at length on the Two Off the Tee podcast with Fantasy Six-Pack, about him being really well formed, and his game suits TPC Sawgrass so well. Tom Hogue also at -3, and Alejandro Tosti, fresh out of getting tossed in the water yesterday after making an ace during the practice round. I guess he found his way out of the water, and he's playing some great golf at 3 under par through 10 holes on his round. So
I want your take on this, because we've talked golf obviously through the years, and there's a name you brought up there that's intriguing to me, Beau Hossler.
Yeah.
When these kids have such storied high school and collegiate careers, and then so many expectations been put on. I think it was at Olympic Club when Beau Hossler kind of came on the scene. I think he was a high school senior and was like top 10.
Yeah, because he was committed to Texas.
That's right.
Yep.
And there was a lot of talk, well, should he go pro now? And then he came on the tour, and I think in his first year he won maybe at... what's the one in South Carolina? The Heritage, maybe? Or maybe he came down to the wire and lost by one.
I don't think he's won yet on the PGA Tour.
But he's a good player. I like the fact, because, we've talked about this. I knew Bobby Wyatt, phenomenal amateur golfer, kind of got to the tour, thought he needed to change everything, left the tour, basically. Yeah. The fact that a kid like this, who had so much put on him and maybe hasn't come in and taken the world by storm the way the Spieths or the Thomases did, but is still out there grinding and playing good golf, I think is a testament to him. Because, he's been on the scene now for every bit of 10 years.
Yeah, let's see. He turned pro... let's see, when did he turn pro? 2018, so...
You know what I think it is? I think I remember it now. I think Poulter beat him on the 18th in a tournament, but it was his rookie year, because I was amazed that he had gotten that far. But
he's made $12.8 million in...
That'll do.
I guess, that's what, 8 years now? So that's not too bad. He's had 17 top 10 finishes, 8 top 5s, 2 third places, and 4 runner-ups. So he's been close 4 times. But kind of to your point, there's so much highlighting, especially nowadays with social media and all that. These golfers, the Jackson Koivuns, the Blades Brown, the high school kid that's now playing on the PGA Tour, decided to go pro in high school, youngest kid ever. I just think there's so much there's so much pressure in golf to begin with, but then to push the expectations even further because of what you did in high school and coming up into college as well. But college golf, I think, right now, in my opinion, is in such a great place right now. You have so many really, really good college athletes, and as we always talk about, you got Luke Clanton from Florida State, who was the #1 amateur in the world. He secured his tour card by making the cut at Bay Hill through the PGA Tour U, and he was the quickest player to do that. And he's got some decisions to make now. Is he going to continue out his season with Florida State throughout the spring and then turn pro in the fall, or what he's going to do? So we'll see. But Florida State's been cooking up golfers between the women's team and the men's team. Having the #1 ranked amateur in the world on both sides is pretty darn impressive.
Has NIL filtered its way into college golf the way it has other sports?
I talk to Coach Bond about that every once in a while. The thing about NIL is international players are not eligible for it.
Interesting.
So the golf world is filled with international players. But she said there's a little bit here and there. It's not anywhere near like basketball and football.
That's what I was going to say. I was wondering if it would potentially maybe have the effect we're seeing slightly in baseball. We're starting to see it with football quarterbacks, where they're actually not having to make the decision to go to the pros for money because they're able. And so I wondered what impact that was having.
Well, and the USGA created a little amendment or whatever you want to call it for the amateur status to basically say if they were getting NIL, they still obviously could remain an amateur regardless of them taking money.
God, here comes Duke.
Ooh, man. I look back at the screen and it's a 5-point game.
Cooper Flag's hurt, though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he got carried off the court. Looks like a little ankle injury.
I see him right there.
He's kind of walking ginger. Ooh, that doesn't look
That's
good
not
at
good
all.
for their
He's not
for their
putting
tournament.
any weight on his left foot.
Man, wild stuff. Wild stuff.
Still plus 325 for that Georgia Tech money line.
Ooh, that's appetizing.
Literally
right
no weight. That's not good. Wow.
Common injury there in basketball.
Obviously, since the whole live split, I mean, that's defined everything in golf over the last, 4 or 5 years,
Yes,
whatever it is.
yeah.
And the Players has always been known for the strongest field in golf. Even though it wasn't a major, it was always considered the fifth major, right?
Yeah.
How has that affected the Players, and is it still kind of considered that? I mean, by World Golf rankings, it probably is, but we know how that's been impacted.
A little
by
skewed
things.
because the live guys aren't getting any world ranking points, but I mean, they still consider it one of the best fields out there on the PGA Tour anyway. But yeah, I think they have currently 48 of the top 50 in the world that are playing in this event.
Are any live players playing in the player? I didn't notice any.
I don't believe so, just because they didn't qualify for it. But I do know that a lot of the other majors have opened up a lot of other avenues for players to get into those particular events, which I think is good for the game of golf. You always want the best players in the world, regardless of where they're playing, to be playing in those particular tournaments.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there was a kind of an interesting altercation between Rory McIlroy and a fan yesterday on the 18th hole during the practice round. So Rory McIlroy was seen taking a golf fan's phone away from him after being heckled during a practice round at the 2025 Players Championship yesterday. In a moment that quickly went viral, the four-time major champion McIlroy was caught on camera snatching a fan's phone after an apparent heckle referencing one of the most painful moments of his career at the Masters. After the PGA Tour superstar sent his first tee shot into the water, a heckler reportedly shouted out, "Just like 2011 at Augusta." McIlroy then hit another shot from the tee box before trudging over to the fan behind the ropes. You can hear the McIlroy saying, "Let me see your phone." And then he took the phone away and walked down the rest of the hole. And then you don't really know what happened after that. As of now, McIlroy has not publicly addressed the incident, and it remains unclear what ultimately happened to the fan's phone. Some reports suggest that tournament officials or security may have later intervened, but no official statement has been made by the PGA Tour. Since the video surfaced after McIlroy's pre-tournament press conference, he was not questioned about it directly. So very interesting stuff there. Rory, if you're still that bitter about something from 12, 13 years ago, maybe it's time to let it go.
My favorite interaction with him fan-wise was, I can't remember what it was. It was a practice round, or something like that, and there was fan heckling about a putt. I think Rory was having a hard time reading it. And I was, I can make it. And Rory says, "Fine, come out here."
Yeah.
And he brought him, he laid a $100 bill down.
Yeah.
And of course, the fan drains it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
But that was one of those moments that was good. You know, Rory, ever since the split, he was one of the most popular players with the fans. And
the PGA Tour pretty much just sent him out there to die on the
and
stick.
his PR team needs to be a little bit better, because I think he's put himself kind of in the line. And look, I mean, that is a world of pressure on you that a lot of us will never experience.
No.
Especially with him having been so young and in the limelight the way he was. But, he's made a few pretty bad missteps with that stuff recently, and it's a shame because he is generally a pretty likable person.
Yeah, absolutely, and a hell of a golfer. There's no doubt about that. But still hasn't got that Grand Slam by winning the Masters. So maybe that little comment from the fan really struck a nerve there with Rory and his lack of, really, he hasn't ever really been in contention either that I can remember, except that particular tournament. Now, after that collapse happened, he went on to win, I think, 4 majors in the next couple years. So maybe that kind of jumps.
The funny thing with him is he'll play himself out of Augusta early and then make these Sunday charges.
Yeah.
Never enough that he was.
Yep. But he'd go out and shoot 64, 63 on Sunday, and he was just too far back to really make it matter.
Yeah.
But anyway, yesterday we announced a contest with Golf Plus, our new studio sponsor. We're giving away a Vibe tumbler and Bluetooth speaker in one. Very, very cool piece of merchandise there. In addition to a Golf Plus t-shirt, we just asked yesterday that we get the first round leader for the tournament, and we had 5 people enter. 3 of them took Scotty Scheffler, 1 of them took Brian Harman, and the other one took Ludwig Aubert. And I don't think Scheffler has teed off yet, because I'm pretty sure he was in the afternoon wave. But I know Ludwig is out there. I can search him up real quick. Yeah, he's 1 under par right now, so he's tied for 16th. So looking pretty good there. I know Brian Harman got off to a good start. Don't know where he is right now, but let's see. Brian Harman.
Harman is at 1 over.
+1. So as of right now, if it finished, Ed Franz would be our winner. We'll announce that obviously tomorrow on the show, and you can come by and pick up that sweet tumbler speaker as well as a Golf Plus t-shirt. So we appreciate people entering. We're not going to be live next week, but the week after that, we'll jump right back into it. And my plan is to do it every Thursday and the show gets going, and we'll do it for the entire tournament. We just did it for the first round this particular time because we're not going to be here next week. So, but yeah, some other notable names there on the leaderboard. Jordan Spieth seems to be the one. Good to see Lucas Glover up there near the top as well. But yeah, Sepp Straka, I was very, very high on him to start this tournament. Actually have him have a futures for him to win this event. Right now he's all the way down to plus 1,600 because he's a good golfer and having a good year.
Well, we talked about JT having a bad day. Victor Hovland is at 8 over with Justin. So those two are the worst players on the course right now.
Victor Hovland, you know, kind of bursted onto the scene, but ever since he became like kind of popular and one of the big guys out there, he just hasn't played a lot of good golf in recent form. Max Homa has been struggling this season as well. I was hoping Gary Woodland would do a little bit better. He's got a very inspirational story with having brain surgery to remove a lesion, excuse me.
A great win he had at Pebble that year.
Yep, when Dustin Johnson basically collapsed in the first few holes, and Gary Woodland came in and stole, I don't want to say stole the victory, but got himself into position to win that thing. So, but TPC going on right now. I believe you can watch it on ESPN Plus right now, if I'm not mistaken. Some coverage a little bit later on Golf Channel. So we'll keep you updated all throughout the Players Championship today and tomorrow, as it is the proverbial 5th major and a big prize money there. I think another $4 million if you win.
Do you like it back in March?
I do.
Like it was originally, and then they had moved it to Mother's Day.
The Players, the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship. You've got 5 straight months of big-time tournaments.
I agree.
And I liked it because it allowed, you know, the PGA Championship was always in August, and by moving it up to May, it opened up a lot of other golf courses to compete it on, because in August, if you have bent grass greens, you can't get them to that 13, 14 on the stump without them burning up and dying. So I really liked that move with the scheduling of the PGA Tour to move the Players up and then move the PGA up as well. But we got to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we'll dive into our Thursday edition of our Afternoon Delight Debriefs. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge.
Three-pointer, punch it in!
We're taking March Madness to the next level. Join our bracket challenge at ESPNPC.com to compete with the ESPN Northwest Florida listeners and staff. The top 3 brackets win cash and prizes. Join the madness at ESPNPC.com. The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge is sponsored by PCB Hobby, Pepsi, and Panama City Toyota.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For this afternoon and evening, a mixture of light sprinkles and some clouds, and a high of 70 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. Slight fog and some clouds tonight, and quite warm near 65. Slightly foggy in the morning, followed by some clouds, and 72 tomorrow. 74 and a variety of some clouds and sprinkles Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
From the fairway to the rough.
Was hoping to squeeze in 9 holes before this rain starts.
From the greens to the bunker.
Certainly, Your Eminency.
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay.
The good Lord would never disrupt the best game of my life.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can still get Georgia Tech plus 325 at halftime. Looks like a high ankle sprain potential for Cooper Flagg. A lot of pain, being wheelchaired around inside the tunnel. So obviously that would be a massive loss for Duke going into the NCAA tournament. And I know it's something we've talked about with the SEC tournament and those top 4 teams. If you end up losing, your quarterfinal match, maybe it's not the end of the world because now you get to rest up a little bit because obviously you'd be playing some really, really tough teams going down the stretch. But we got to dive into our afternoon delight debrief. But first, we appreciate you tuning in on 104.3 here in Panama City or Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. All you got to do is search up ESPN Northwest Florida. You can find us any of those streaming live every day. The Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9, Inside Drive right here from 11 to 1, and of course the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. You can also download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do is search 104.3 and you'll find us right there. You can also head over to ESPNPC.com. If you're tired of paying too much for your streaming service, which is getting ridiculous now, we're almost getting back to cable prices with all these streaming services, but not with Lucid Streams TV. Lucid Streams TV with code ESPNNW is a mere $41.99 a month with over 2,000 channels on demand. You can also watch all your regional, local sports news, whatever you want, all the pay-per-view events. Any sporting event is right there on Lucid Streams TV. And of course, if you're a big movie buff, they've got over 10,000 movies on demand, adding new ones each week. Again, that's Lucid Streams TV. If you go to ESPNPC.com, you'll see it right there in the top of our banner. And you just click on there, follow the prompts to send you an email, get signed up, and you can start streaming ASAP for, I guarantee, a lot less than whatever you're paying right now. And of course, we've got the ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge. We've I haven't looked. I'm going to look here real quick and see how many we got. I know we had 34 to start the day. Let's see. I click on the banner ad. Takes me right there. I'm in the group. Let's see. Groups. Sorry, I'm navigating this as we speak. Where is our group? Perfect bracket tracker. Who's going to get that? All right, we've got 34 still, so we haven't had anybody sign up since we've been live on the air. But again, all you got to do is go to ESPNPC.com. You'll see it at the top of the page. You click on that. It'll take you, most likely, if you're doing it on your phone, to your ESPN Fantasy app. And all you got to do is click Join Group. While you're there, once you join as well, you can invite as many people as you want, friends, family. The more, the merrier. We appreciate PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, and Buffalo Rock Pepsi for making this contest possible to give us some cash and prizes for first, second, and third. Also got to give a big shout out to our new studio sponsor, Golf Plus, right here in Panama City Beach and up there off of 231 in Dothan. They've got that great grip deal going on right now. It is that time of year where you probably need to re-grip your clubs to get ready for the golf season, and they're doing, if you get 8 or more grips, they'll give you a putter grip for 50% off. You cannot beat that. You can check that out at either location, and I know people probably overlook that a lot. David, you've probably never even thought about changing grips on your clubs.
Absolutely not, unless those things are just like,
well, and the grips nowadays, they do last a lot longer than the grips from a while ago. I still have the stock original
grip on my Sasquatch.
Are they rotting or are they good?
I mean, I haven't ever had an issue with them.
Because the grips back in the day were actual leather, and they didn't.
Yeah, no,
they
it
did
wasn't.
not. Yeah, no, you probably got just some Golf Pride Tour Velvets on there, I would guess. Black grip with a little white circle on the top.
No, they're not. I mean, I'd have to look at my driver again. Like the ones on my Victory wedges, they're just Nike grips.
Yeah. Well, which typically
I got my putter re-gripped, and it's definitely time for my putter to be re-gripped again.
There you go.
So I like if the club is bad. I've had a few clubs re-gripped whenever they go down, but for some reason they last a while. It's like the less I play, the better they do.
That's true. That's true. If they're not getting used, they're not getting worn. But Cooper Flagg being wheelchaired through the tunnel. Don't know where they're taking him, maybe to get an MRI or something like that. But that's going to be some big-time news out of college basketball today.
I've always heard Daly talk about club fitting should start at the grip.
Yeah.
He was big believer in that. And I remember when I could snap hook one worse than Rory on 10 at Augusta, but when I started building up my grips, that helped me so much off the tee because I tend to get very handsy. And by doing that, it kept me in line pretty well.
Slow down your hands from turning over a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. There's definitely a lot they can do to help your game just with your grips.
Yeah, and a nice, good, grippy grip.
Oh, my gosh,
it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable over the ball. Golf Plus for all your club fitting repairs, and they've got all the new clubs, great merchandise as well, and they've got a lot of fun stuff in there as well, like cool head covers, ball markers, speakers, all sorts of cool stuff. Again, we'll have Alan coming up at 12:20 on Mondays. And if you're looking for a job, he's hiring as well. And, get somebody to work, one of the days between 11 to 1 for him so you can come and hang out a whole show with us because I'd love to shoot the breeze with Alan when it comes to the world of golf because he certainly does a lot of traveling, a lot of playing, and knows a lot about it as well. All right, I'm going to dive into some afternoon delight debriefs. I don't have a ton today, but I got a couple interesting ones. This one starts up there in New Jersey, my old stomping grounds. TSA finds live turtle in traveler's pants at New Jersey Airport. March 13th, the TSA said an officer at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey found a live turtle concealed in the crotch of a traveler's pants.
Good Lord.
The TSA said the East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania man was going through security's checkpoint body scanner when it detected something concealed in his groin area. An officer confronted the man who reached down to the front of his pants and pulled out a live turtle that was wrapped in a small blue towel, the TSA said. The approximately 5-inch long turtle was identified by the man as a red-eared slider turtle. The Port Authority police took possession of the turtle and contacted local animal control and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The man was not allowed to board his flight and escorted away by the Port Authority police.
Well, I guess it's a cheap substitute for a cup.
I guess. I don't know what he's worried about happening, but we've seen travelers try to conceal knives and other weapons on their person, in their shoes and in their luggage. However, I believe this is the first time we've come across someone who is concealing a live animal down the front of his pants. Thomas Carter, the TSA's federal security director for New Jersey, said in a news release.
I'm just amazed it wasn't somebody from Florida.
Yeah, that's
a Florida man right there.
Absolutely. Somebody commented on one of our shows the other day that there's like a Florida man show on Netflix.
Yeah, on HBO.
On HBO Max. That's right. That's
and
one of the
I believe
few
it was
I don't
Chef
have.
Ross. Ohio Brad just texted in his first pet was a red ear slider named Francis.
And I bet he never tried to take it through the TSA in the front of his pants. But
no, probably not. But I hear they're great service animals.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Get a little vest for the turtle, and it'll be ready to go. The TSA
it comes with a vest, actually. That's the shell.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. That is true. It is true. It's basically a vest. We've talked about another.
Ohio Brad said Francis actually ran away. So.
Oh, no. It ended up being a sad story there. I feel like we've talked about another animal going through TSA before, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably a kangaroo. Kangaroo.
There was a kangaroo. We've had many a kangaroo stories on here, given that's your favorite animal. We'll get you one day here pretty soon, but we got to apply for that permit first. All right, let's see.
I'm still trying to decipher what happened here. They don't have a great angle of it. He may have rolled over the top of a guy coming down. He definitely grabs high on the ankle, not at the shin. So, high ankle sprain definitely looks right, and that's a bad one because the only real rest for that is time.
Yeah, and a lot of time typically. And he doesn't have a lot of time left in his freshman year.
No, he doesn't.
That's for sure. Maybe, You know, you were talking about what DeMarcus Cousins was saying about what he should do. Maybe this will, push him to potentially come back to Duke next year. Got to imagine that NIL money for him up there in Duke is pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But is it as much as a first or second round pick in the NBA draft? I don't know. That's what he's got to figure out.
Well, all of their goals is to get in the league.
Yeah,
and look, as we've seen here, there's always the fear of injury. So, it's one of those things. But
yeah, no doubt, and that's why these conference tournaments can make or break a lot of these.
And I know what DeMarcus Cousins is saying, and it's funny when we parse it out. But I do hate the notion. I get it. Look, you're talking about your career and you want it best, and obviously the right scenario can make or break a career, but I always hated the notion that you're going to power play the league.
Yeah.
To me, you should just be happy somebody wants to pay you millions of dollars to come play a game for your living.
Obviously, I'll never be in that situation,
Yeah.
but I certainly would feel I would just be grateful to have an opportunity
That's right.
to play at the next level of any sport, given how challenging it is to be part of the 0.0001% of athletes in that sport that ended up making it to the league. All right, next one I got. This is another interesting headline. Doctors know increase in cases of glue mistaken for eye drops. Maybe this will lead to a movement of changing what the eye drop things look like. Doctors with the Colorado hospital system are urging eye drop users to read labels carefully after noting an uptick in cases of people accidentally putting glue in their eyes. That would be awful. Dr. Richard Davidson, an ophthalmologist with UC Health, was headquartered in Aurora, said medical practitioners have noticed it is becoming surprisingly common for people to mistake nail glue or lash glue for eye drops. There might be a couple months where we don't see anyone. Then all of a sudden, we see 2 or 3 people with this type of situation, he told KUSA TV. There's a variety of ways we see it happen, but it is relatively common. He said the nail and lash glues, as well as several other products, can sometimes come in the same bottles that closely resemble eye drop containers. It's amazing how many products look similar, so we can end up putting them in our eye by accident, Davidson said. Sometimes it's eye makeup glue. Sometimes it's ear drops that are supposed to go in the ear, and they go in the eye. One such case went viral in 2024 when TikTok user @BreezyBree416 shared her experience by accidentally putting nail glue into her eye. The glue dries in a matter of seconds, Davidson said. We really encourage you, if you get to a sink, to try to wash it off or take a towel to loosen it up a little bit, because the quicker you act, the better. Davidson said doctors sometimes have to scrape adhesive from the surface of the patient's eye, but the incidents generally don't lead to any permanent damage. It's rare to cause permanent damage, but it can be very uncomfortable for the first couple of days, he said. Davidson and colleagues urged eye drop users to make sure they carefully read labels before applying eye drops and keep their drops somewhere separate from similarly sized and colored bottles. Yeah.
We used to call that natural selection.
Right?
But,
yeah. Darwinism.
Yes.
Darwinism.
Good Lord.
You can't fix stupid, but I don't know. I don't use
But people can perfect it.
There's no doubt about that. And that's some wild stuff.
That's crazy. That just, and you know what's sad is I get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of them do look exactly the same, but oh my God, that just sounds horrendous.
Yep, and you put it in the same drawer.
I'd rather put a turtle down my pants.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it's as painful when it comes
unless it's a snapping turtle.
Yeah, wouldn't want to mess with the snapping turtle one way or the other. I've seen some snapping turtles move pretty fast too, which can definitely be scary. Look at that, Duke's right back in the game.
Of course they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Cooper Flagg no longer out there, but I did take the Georgia Tech money line during halftime, so I hope Georgia Tech can hang in there and continue to play well. But time will tell. Time will tell. All right, next one I got is from the great state of Florida.
There we go.
Police officer steps in when alligator blocks pizza delivery in Florida. A Florida police officer ended up delivering a pizza to a resident's back door after the delivery driver arrived to find an 8-foot alligator in the driveway. The Bradenton Police Department shared the body cam footage on social media showing the scene that unfolded when an officer was called about a large alligator in the neighborhood. The officer located the alligator underneath a resident's car in their driveway and was awaiting the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission trapper when someone else arrived, a pizza delivery driver. The officer stopped the driver, alerted alerting her to the alligator between her and the customer's front door. After a brief discussion, the officer agreed to take the pizza to the customer's back door. A neighbor called the home's residents, who soon appeared in the front doorway, but the officer alerted her to the gator's presence and told her she could collect her food at the back door. How much was it? The woman asked the officer as he arrives back with the pizza. I have no idea. I'm not the pizza man, the officer said. The woman ended up taking the food and giving an officer some money to pass along to the driver.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Who gets the tip?
Yeah, I would definitely get the officer a tip as well. Pizza with a side of gator, the police department wrote. Officer Tolson responded to calls about an 8-foot gator in a 55-plus community, intercepted a terrified pizza delivery order, and ensured a hungry customer was fed and a hungry gator wasn't. All in a day's work. Just another
Florida, baby.
And just another job description for those men and women in law enforcement that always seem to get called for animals as well. And in this state of Florida, not only gators, but snakes as well.
Oh, my gosh.
And, it's one of the
Starting to get to be that time, too.
Yes.
It's going to warm up. Be careful where you step.
Yeah, especially out on the golf courses. Yep. If you hit a ball in the woods,
as I do.
Yeah, just a lot of times you just want to leave it there.
That's right.
You're right. This is the time of year where they're starting to come out of hibernation and they're starting to try to get
and they're
warm.
Frisky.
Yep. And you don't want to be on the other side of that. That's for sure. All right, one more. We'll see how long this takes me to read. Antique Ambulance's 3,200-mile trip breaks world record. Looks just like the Ghostbuster ambulance. The oldest licensed ambulance in the United States earned a Guinness World Record when two men drove it more than 3,200 miles from Hollywood, California to Hollywood, Florida. The 1972 Cadillac ambulance took the cross-country journey with a team from Symbiosis Ambulance and Axine Continuing Education, an emergency medical service nonprofit. The team said their journey, which began March 1st, came to a close on Monday, aimed to raise awareness of the importance of emergency medical services education. The Guinness World Records educator confirmed the 3,233-mile drive was a new record for longest journey by ambulance. There's another Guinness World Record that I didn't even know was a world record. There's literally a world record for everything. The Axine Continuing Education team celebrated the end of their drive by holding an EKG training session with Hollywood firefighters and EMS personnel. Another Guinness. We talk a lot about Guinness World Records here in our Afternoon Delight debrief segment. But,
that's cool, though.
That's pretty interesting. But yeah, it looks just like the Ghostbusters.
I can just see it and hear like that. But that is a cool thing. Hollywood, California to Hollywood, Florida. That's a neat idea.
No doubt. More than 3,200 miles. It looks like it took them, the 5th, 13th. So about 2-ish weeks to make that journey across.
Georgia Tech was up by 14. And Duke has a 5-point lead now. It's amazing. Without Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now Georgia Tech's going to have to...
10-0 run for Duke to start the second half. Wow.
And you see that happen so much where you just got all this momentum in the first half. You go into halftime. You see it in football, too, and you almost wish that you don't have halftime because you lose that offensive momentum.
But I was going to say, we talk about this on the Hale Show all the time about the key to football would be, we always called it last five, first five.
Yep.
Last five of the first half, first five of the second half was so critical, and your better teams usually dominate that time frame.
Yeah.
And Duke obviously doing that right now on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully Georgia Tech can dig deep and fight back and try to continue their run in the ACC tournament. And then, of course, maybe get a tournament bid based on how they do. And if they could beat Duke, that would certainly go a long way for that.
No doubt.
All right, last one before we take a break and get to Brad Law from the Auburn Sports Radio Network. Gamer beats Super Mario Brothers in 4 minutes, 54.565 seconds. Here's another Guinness Book of World Records that I didn't know was a world record. A dedicated gamer broke a Guinness World Record by beating the 1985's classic Super Mario Brothers with a time of 4 minutes and 54.565 seconds. Nefisky, an American gamer with multiple speedrunning records to his name, said achieving the record-breaking time was a result of years of playing the Nintendo Entertainment System game, along with hours of refining his technique to include every possible trick to shave off costly milliseconds. I cannot stress how important it is to obey the saying, practice makes perfect, he told Guinness World Records. I spend at least 90% of my time practicing and 10% of my time doing speed runs, which I believe is a good reason why I've made it so far in this game. His speed run attempt in January ended with a time of 4 minutes and 54.565 seconds, earning him the title for fastest completion of Super Mario Brothers. Nifsky, who is used an emulator and a computer keyboard for his attempt, said he is not quite satisfied with this time. I have a lot of ambition to lower the Super Mario Brothers any percent world record to at least 5.54 or 4 minutes 54.3 seconds before I am fully satisfied, he said. For context, my latest any percent world record was 4 minutes 54.565 seconds, and the absolute perfect time you can get in this game is 4 minutes 54 seconds and 0.265. This means if I were able to achieve this goal, the world record would be about 0.3 seconds off of absolute perfection.
I think it took me 5 months to finish that game.
Yeah, there was a lot. You get hung up on a lot of different levels.
I would imagine the old joysticks and all that are probably different than the emulators and everything like that. But
yeah,
still, that's unreal.
I feel like the record should have to be done on the original system.
I agree.
For it to actually count. But, to each his own, I guess. But we got to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to get Brad Law on the line, talk a little Auburn sports, not only basketball, but baseball as well. You're listening to The Inside Drive. Brad Law coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Bill Allen, Greg Wernicke, two experts that really run Tallahassee and Florida State Athletic Department.
Declare for the draft, but if nobody declares they
I want to ask you both real quick.
You got to go somewhere else.
He comes on there and he says, I'll come under one condition, that each one of my offensive linemen gets paid X.
There you go.
Weekday morning 7 to 9, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, a likelihood of thunderstorms and partly cloudy and a temperature of 70 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. A variety of slight fog and some clouds tonight and quite warm near 64. Slightly foggy in the morning followed by some clouds and 73 tomorrow. 75 and sprinkles Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. That's 800-605-4650.
We're starting fresh.
Fresh new start.
Locally sourced, farm to radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive inside the Golf Plus studios live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. He was doing some traveling earlier in the week, but we've got him on the line now, and that is Brad Law. He's the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Network. Brad, how the heck are you, and how are things up there on the plains?
It's great. I'm watching an SEC tournament game right now, and we have baseball tomorrow and Tiger Talk tonight, so we got a lot of reasons to be thankful and excited, and good, and not the least of them is that I'm back on with you. Hope everybody there is doing well.
Yes, we're doing fantastic, and very glad to have you back on as well. You're one of my favorite people to talk to throughout the week. Obviously, being a big Auburn fan is always a good time to talk. But let's dive right into it. First, let's talk about some of the SEC awards that the Auburn men's basketball team took home when they came out earlier this week.
Well, Janai Broome, both AP and coaches, player of the year in the SEC. Bruce Pearl, coach of the year. Todd Pettiford, all freshman team. Denver Jones on the all defensive team. I think that's all of them. I think I got them. And then Johni Broome is named the Sporting News National Player of the Year. So, some of the things that are, I think, appropriate for what this team has done. Denver Jones is one of the best defensive guards in the country, if not the best. And as a result, Auburn should be the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. Johni Broome has been the Player of the Year, the best player on the best team in the best conference, and appropriately so. He's getting some of those Player of the Year accolades. So it's a testament to the work they've done this year. Same thing with Bruce Pearl. When you're the best coach, when you're the coach of the best team in the best conference, then you probably should get Coach of the Year consideration in most places. So I think appropriate given the year that Auburn has had. It's great to see those guys get the recognition for it, too.
Yeah, absolutely. The recognition that they deserve. Kind of piggybacking on Johni Broome winning the SEC Player of the Year and the AP Player of the Year. Kind of like you said, I've been saying this all week. If you're the best player in the best conference, you should probably be the best team in best player in the country as well. So I think he's poised to potentially get the first ever Naismith Player of the Year award for Auburn basketball. What do you think?
I hope so. I think that would be the appropriate thing. I think that's the reasonable thing. I think if you don't have a rooting interest in Auburn or Duke and you look at the two players side by side, you would say Cooper Flagg is unquestionably the freshman of the year in college basketball.
Yeah.
And you would say probably that he's probably the better pro prospect. I don't think that's much of a fight. But I just saw today Cooper's not going to play today against Georgia Tech.
Actually, he went out earlier in the game with what looked like a high ankle sprain, but he's now back on the bench. We got the game on.
And he was able to walk under his own power.
Yeah,
so
it looked bad initially.
Good sign for him.
Yeah.
I did not see that. Okay, hopefully he's okay for the tournament. He will not return in the game today. So we did see that. But I think, again, objectively, if you don't have a rooting interest in Auburn or Duke, you look at the two together and go, Cooper's the freshman of the year, Johni's the Player of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense for sure. Makes sense.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And obviously Auburn finished with 15 quad one wins, the most all-time, which is pretty darn impressive. But kind of getting back to that same conversation, comparing the SEC to the ACC, Auburn finished with more ranked wins. I believe they had 10 than the entire ACC combined. So just kind of piggybacking on, that the Auburn in comparison to, Duke, Cooper Flagg, whatever it may be. And I know Auburn lost that game head-to-head in Cameron, but I'd still believe if they would have played at Neville Arena, might have been a different story. Quarterfinal game tomorrow against the winner of Arkansas and Ole Miss today. Who do you think's the better matchup for Auburn?
I think Ole Miss is the better matchup. I would rather probably play Arkansas because they don't have. Ole Miss has a deeper bench than Arkansas, and Arkansas will be playing its third game in 3 days. So I'd probably rather play Arkansas, but I think Ole Miss is the better matchup because of post play. Auburn has a decided size, length, strength advantage on the inside. And so, they've played twice in the regular season. Auburn controlled the game from start to finish in both games. So I think, given the choice between the two of them, I would pick Ole Miss. I'm excited to see them against either one of them. But if I get to choose, then that's probably who I choose.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, Arkansas, their first season under Coach Calipari, and looking to obviously win that game against Ole Miss to try to bolster that tournament resume. Obviously, Auburn basketball is not the only team having a great season right now for Auburn. Talk a little bit about how Auburn baseball has got off to such a hot start, and obviously a big game coming up against Vanderbilt here very soon.
Yeah, 14-3 start to the year. They're in the top half of the league in batting average. The bullpen has been a strength for the most part. And all 4 weekends so far, the starting pitching, like 2 of the 3 starters, Samuel Dutton and Christian Chatterton, have gone out, and they've gotten a little bit better each time. Cade Fisher, a transfer from Florida, has been injured. He was a freshman All-America 2 years ago, missed the second weekend of the season. He's pitched the last 2 Saturdays, but it's been somewhat limited. It's been short outings. So curious to see what happens going forward there. But it's been a good, again, all the other areas that I mentioned have been positive. They had a top 10 freshman class, a top 10 transfer class. They got Eric Snow at the top of the lineup, really performing well as a leadoff hitter. They got several freshmen who are just kind of showing that the learning curve isn't too steep, and they're ready to go right from the beginning. So a lot of reasons, I think, to be optimistic. Now, we'll see. Last year in the conference opening series at Vanderbilt, I think Auburn kind of got shell-shocked because they weren't competitive in the 3 games, and I think that affected the rest of the season. I think it really matters how you start out of the gate in such a competitive league. Mm-hmm. And so Vanderbilt coming in at home gives you a chance to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Football, basketball, baseball, SEC is just so strong in this day and age. And when you open up that conference play, it's a quick, real big uptick in competition. Number 13, Vanderbilt coming into town. First game of the series tomorrow night at 6 p.m. in the Central Time Zone. Then another 6 p.m. game on Saturday, followed by a little matinee baseball on, maybe I know there's some weather potentially coming in, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But, if that game does get underway, it'll be at 2 p.m. on Sunday as well. So obviously, Tigers trying off to a hot start in their conference play. I want to move over to golf for just a couple minutes. They've got a big tournament coming up over in my former neck of the woods, and I know they're coming off a victory as well. So golf team obviously trying to defend their national championship. They just won the Southern Highlands Collegiate out there in Las Vegas, so big win for the program there. Then, of course, they got the General Hackler Championship coming up at one of my favorite golf courses in Myrtle Beach, the Dunes Club, where they played a PGA Tour event there for the first time in a long time last week. But talk a little bit about that golf team as they're trying to defend that national championship from last year. Obviously, Jackson Koivu, a big part of that, who had an opportunity to play down there at Bay Hill last week.
Yeah, I love Nick Kleinert and the way he stacked his talent. And, they lost some important seniors from last year's national championship bunch, but when you have Jackson Koivu anchoring, and they've got other talented players too. What I like best about them is they've set a standard, and now they expect to play a certain way. They're like split squad competitions. You can't go to a tournament where there's greater competition than what you have in a split squad competition. And so it sort of, I'm trying to find the best way to, I'm not coming up with the words to explain it, but it raises the level of competition such that, like Pat Riley used to talk about this in practice, if their practices are tougher than the games, then by the time you get to the game, you don't have the normal pressure of performing in the game because you've already done it at a higher level back home.
Yeah.
And I think that's the culture that's developed now within the program.
It's a dangerous culture when it comes to the world of golf, that's for sure. I think Kobe Bryant was kind of one of those guys, too, that said he practiced so many times, he had so much reps, that by the time he got to a game, he wasn't nervous because he knows he's already done it so many times. And I feel like that's kind of what you're hinting at a little bit with this Auburn men's squad, who's looking to head back, hopefully, to the national championship on what will be a more mature golf course than it was last year. But obviously Auburn's having another great season in men's golf. But got some fun tournaments coming up. They get to play at some pretty awesome places as well. So Nick Kleiner doing a wonderful job scheduling these tournaments as well. Brian, you got anything for Brad?
No, I was really just one of the things I noticed in looking at the baseball schedule, and I've been to so many games at Plainsman Park, Auburn really does a good job leaning into kind of giveaways and theme days like that. And I noticed this Friday was going to be Josh Donaldson Day. Is that something that Auburn has kind of really, pushed and promoted, because it seems like just such a great way to, build fan base in college baseball and all like that, and a great way to get kids out to the ballpark?
You talking about bobbleheads in general? Or
everything. I mean, I'm looking at it. They do. They have different themes, it looks like, for every home game, and they have umbrella hats and golf towels and tumblers and tie-dye shirts and trucker hats, and they really lean into promotion, and it seems like just such a great idea.
Well, there are surveys that go out to SEC fans every year, and it happens in all of your sort of headline sports, football, basketball, and baseball and softball. And One of the things that Auburn prides itself on is its fan experience. I mean, it used to be called marketing, and that's not a two-way street, but the fan experience. And consistently, Auburn ranks among the top teams, if not at the top, in fan experience. That's game day, that's parking, that's promotions, that's everything associated with people who make the choice to go to an Auburn event. And you guys know this, in this world we live in, if you choose to do one thing, it means you're not choosing to do literally a million other different things that you could have done instead. So Auburn's intentional about that. I know around the Masters time last year at baseball, they gave away like a golf flag or golf towel. It looked like at Augusta around the Masters time with the Auburn logo on it. So same thing, like we've talked about around the Kentucky Derby, doing some sort of thing that's themed that way. They really do a good job of being intentional and forward-thinking about it and try to give you something that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, especially leaning into the players. Obviously, everybody knows Bo Jackson and Frank Thomas, but it's so great to lean into the guys like Josh Donaldson or Casey Mize or guys like that who've come through, because there hasn't in the past seemed to be as much of a connection with baseball players to their collegiate program as there might have been with basketball and football, and that can really just kind of help drive the overall sense and status of the program as well, especially in the SEC, which is so... I mean, as if it's not competitive in football and basketball. Good gracious, in baseball, it is a gauntlet.
Well, and it's a function of everything else around baseball now. Like, teams are investing more in the ballpark.
Yeah.
It's more visible now. More games are on TV than they ever have been. Auburn, up until I guess a year or two ago, was the only SEC team that had ever put somebody in the Major League Hall of Fame.
That's
Frank Thomas. So. Yeah, welcoming Frank, and Tim Hudson still lives here in the area and is very involved in the community and with the baseball program. And Greg Olson, who is an all-star with the Orioles, he does games on TV for Auburn, and so and every now and then comes over to us on the radio side. So Auburn is absolutely welcoming of these former athletes, and I think with you that everything's becoming more visible surrounding baseball in the SEC, including our giveaways at the ballpark. They get a little more investment in them too.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All making that fan experience how important it needs to be. Looks like one of Georgia Tech's players just went out with a significant injury. Which is good.
Probably,
yeah, I did the same.
Yeah. I was going to say quickly, probably doesn't hurt in Auburn baseball that John Cohen is the AD now. He certainly got a mind for great baseball. So.
Well, and was I think at Mississippi State when they had their stadium expansion and renovation. The dorms or the apartments went up beyond the left field wall. And we're seeing some, like this year at Plainsman Park at the Tiger Terrace, there are padded seats and grills available out there. Mm-hmm. Like you can actually grill during the game. And that's a tremendous upgrade. We've got a lot of upgrades at baseball this year. And again, just all manners of upgrades, from general admission to premium situations. How do you want to watch a baseball game?
Yeah.
We've got it.
Well, and it helps when you got a good team on the field, too, and it looks like Auburn has that this year as well. So,
Brad, saw some news in the football world that the opener at Baylor that was originally scheduled for Saturday, August 30th, will now be played one day earlier on Friday, August 29th at the McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. The network television designations and kickoff time will be announced at a later date. This will be the fifth all-time meeting between the Tigers and the Bears, and the first time since 1976, which was in Auburn. The last time the two schools played in Waco was back in 1975. Any inclinations why they moved that up? Just trying to kind of create more of a individual day or individual game time for that particular game.
Why do we do anything in college athletics?
That's true. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Yeah, I like that. Yes.
TV said so. That's why we're doing it on Friday.
Nice, good stuff. So it looks like Auburn fans will be Auburn and Baylor fans will be able to watch a game Friday evening one day earlier than they were originally going to be able before. Looks like
Ole Miss up by 10, 4:34 to go. So we'll see.
Yeah, might be.
They get the Rebels. Yep.
Y'all sound like when I hosted a show, watching like conference tournament week.
Oh, it's so hard.
I know it's the best and worst time.
That's
Yes,
right.
yes.
Watch the games.
Yeah.
Like, I just flipped over to Duke and Georgia Tech, and I guess they're in a commercial, so that kind of stinks. I can't get the update there, but anyway, it's so much fun. I love the fact there's basketball on from lunchtime till
It's
after
the best
I'm
time of
asleep
year.
every single day.
So
having the
much fun.
TV in the studio, it's like the dog with a squirrel.
Yeah.
You know.
I keep looking over. What's happening? But yes, Ole Miss 32, Arkansas 21. Still early in the game.
That's right.
You never know. Well, Brad, we appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to talking to you in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we're talking about Auburn winning some early round basketball games and getting started on a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
That would be fantastic. Your lips to God's ears. Always a pleasure. Hope everybody there has a great rest of your week.
Absolutely. War Eagle to everyone on the coast, as you usually say. But
That's right.
Again,
War Eagle to all the Auburn fans on the coast.
and there's quite a bit of them, so we appreciate you jumping on with us. And again, looking forward to talking to you in a couple weeks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy those baseball games and have a lot of fun. You guys listen to the Inside Drive final segment of this Thursday coming up next.
Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the Man Cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ready for a great deal? It's Ready, Set, Go time at Panama City Toyota, where you can get 3.99% APR on the perfect combination of sport and utility in the new RAV4, plus 90 days until you make your first payment. Get 1.99% on the ruggedly refined Tacoma, plus 90 days until you make your first payment. And get 1.99% on a new Tundra, named the best resale value in its class by Kelley Blue Book. Ready, Set, Go.
Offer ends March 31st. For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Your pets are our priority at Southern Hospitality.
Professional in-home pet care to meet the needs of you and your pet.
Vacation pet care, dog walking, adventure hikes, wedding pet attendant, and more.
Southern Hospitality experienced team provides a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment your pets will thrive in.
You'll even receive reports with photos and real-time updates of each visit.
Talk to Southern Hospitality? Call us now, 850-805-7387.
Bonded and insured.
Coming in hot.
So hot.
It'll be a hot one. Really hot.
God damn.
The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, let's do a quick little tournament update in some of the bigger conferences, some score updates. Obviously, some are live, some have already happened, and some are coming up. Yesterday from the Big 12 tournament, you had Iowa State beat Cincinnati 76-56. Colorado, let me see if they fixed that. Yeah, they did, David. They fixed that score from yesterday where they had Utah 87, UCF 72.
Do we think Colorado can take down Houston today?
Ooh, that could be, I wonder what the spread is.
I think it's like 17.5. Which, remember when I said I got Georgia Tech plus 13.5?
Yeah.
It was actually 17.5.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but I didn't take it. I parlayed it like a dummy. But I did, I take St. Bonaventure. They were down 9, I think, so they were plus 275, so I just put a solo on them. And
nice.
Yeah, got my money back.
There you go. There you go. That's kind of how it all works. But yeah, Jumping back to the Big 12, Iowa State yesterday, 76-56 over Cincinnati. Colorado State, I guess you could call that an upset, or Colorado upset West Virginia 67-60. Baylor knocked down Kansas State 70-56. And Kansas, who seems to be catching a little bit of fire, maybe at the right time, scored a lot of points.
UCF money line too last night. Oh, it was so close.
98-94.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game.
Big 12 games, you got one going on right now. Don't know what the score of that one is. That's Iowa State and BYU.
I've got that one. Iowa State just hit a 3. They're up 60-52 early in the second. A lot of points in that game.
Okay. And then you got, like David said, Colorado and Houston coming up at 2 p.m. And then the 2 night games in the Big 12 are Baylor and Texas Tech and Kansas at Arizona. Moving into the ACC, going on right now, obviously the Duke-Georgia Tech game. Cooper Flagg's kind of the story in that game so far. Duke's catching a little fire, shooting, and I think they got about a 10-point lead right now.
11. Good thing you didn't take that 10.5.
I know. Good thing I took the money line at halftime. Sometimes it sounds good. It doesn't end up being so good. But I hit a pretty decent one last night as well, so gave me a little wiggle room for today. Wake Forest at North Carolina will be on after the Duke-Georgia Tech game, and then the 2 night games in the ACC tournament starting at, I believe that's 6 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone, will be Louisville and Stanford, followed by Clemson and SMU. Moving over to the Big Ten Conference Championship, all the games that went down yesterday. Northwestern advanced over Minnesota. Iowa advanced over Iowa State. USC advanced over Rutgers. Today, actually, I think it started already. I believe Indiana and Oregon.
Yeah, so this is a good game. Oregon leads by 2, 56-54. We are under 8 minutes to go in the second. And Indiana is right on that bubble, so a win here would be big for their hopes.
Especially over Oregon, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And then you've got coming up right after that game, you'll have Northwestern and Wisconsin. And then coming up tonight, you'll have Iowa and Illinois, followed by USC and Purdue. Real quick, too, want to remind everybody about the Fantasy Baseball League that we're doing here with ESPN Northwest Florida. We got 3 spots available. All you got to do is text in your name and email address if you want to join us playing some fantasy baseball. We'd love to have a few more people in there, as it's a lot of fun.
So the season starts next Tuesday because the Cubs and the Dodgers play. So I'm going to set the draft up for Friday at 7:30. And if we have any issues with that, we can move it around or whatever. But I just figure might as well set a time out there, and then that way we can get through all of the rigmarole.
Yeah, no, rigmarole. I like that. All right, moving over to the SEC. I believe we've got one going on right now, if I'm not mistaken. Arkansas and Ole Miss got started at 12 noon. Brian, you got a score on that one?
Yeah, sorry. I was reading about Northwestern staying in 85-degree rooms. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. Ole Miss leads 37-27, about to go to the half, about 1:40 to go in the first.
So Ole Miss off to a good start in that one, trying to knock Calipari's tournament contentions maybe out with a loss.
Yeah, it was interesting, though. Chris Collins was talking about this. The temps in the rooms never drop below 85 degrees, and apparently the Big Ten assigns hotels for teams like based on seating. So he made no bones about yelling at the Big Ten, but they did get the win last night.
Hey, so maybe that kept their muscles loose.
It's going to be the rallying cry. They're all out to get us. You know how it is with coaching, and that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. So following the Arkansas Ole Miss game will be Texas and Texas A&M, and then 2 games coming up tonight: Mississippi State and Missouri, and Oklahoma and Kentucky. And then tomorrow, obviously, Auburn will get started at noon with facing the winner of Arkansas and Ole Miss. Tennessee will face the winner of Texas and Texas A&M. Florida will face the winner of Mississippi State and Missouri, and then Alabama will face the winner of Oklahoma and Kentucky. And then continue on all the way through Sunday with the SEC Championship coming up at noon here in the Central Time. And don't forget, we will have Selection Sunday live right here on ESPN Northwest Florida starting at 5 p.m. on Sunday, March 16th. And again, one more reminder, if you want to sign up for our ESPN ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge. Just head over to our website, espnpc.com. Click that Big Bracket Challenge. It'll take you to the bracket to click on. It'll take you right to your app. Just click Join Group, and boom, you'll be in there. And you'll be able to fill out your bracket once Selection Sunday is completed. And we look forward to giving out some cash and prizes for first, second, and third. Appreciate Buffalo Rock Pepsi, PCB Hobby, and Panama City Toyota for making the ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge come to fruition. Looks like Duke's starting to get ready to put this thing away, despite not having a Cooper flag out there. But apparently,
yeah, I mean, it looks like it rallied them. I mean, they have played with a little more urgency.
That's a great point.
Since
That's
then,
a great point. Like, sometimes that kind of stuff can really spark a team.
Yeah.
And obviously they're Duke.
Oh, they're killing them inside.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's going to need to start hitting some shots here in order to get back into this one. And, well, there you go. A little chance for a 3-point play.
Here we go. There you go, Richard.
Moving on up. All right. Do you want to talk about something real quick that I'm starting to get involved with? You know, I'm doing the 2 Off the Tee podcast with Keith Fleming on Fantasy Six Pack, but I'm also now starting to help out with some of their betting. They're doing a best bets, and I wanted to go through the best bets that some of the contributors have put in there so far. The first one was done by Aaron. He's a analyst there with Fantasy Six Pack. He had BYU plus 3.5. Is that hanging in there?
They're down by 8.
Okay, so that's going to be a close one.
They need to rally a little.
And then Dave Edie, he's part owner of Fantasy Six Pack as well. He had Boise State minus 2.5 as a best bet. Boise State, fueled by the NCAA tournament hopes and revenge for 2 regular season losses, is 9-2 in its last 11 games. With a rebounding edge in the play of Tyson Degenhart, the Broncos have the advantage, especially with San Diego State missing key player Magoon Gwath. What a name that is.
Wow.
That's a fun one.
Sounds like a wrestler name.
It does. And then I put in there Arkansas at plus 4.5. John Calipari needs to another SEC tournament win to try to get Arkansas into the tournament in his first year as the new head coach. Ole Miss dropped 4 out of its last 6 games heading into the SEC tournament, which isn't that big of a deal because of how good the competition is. But I really like Arkansas getting the points in this second round matchup.
They are currently down by 8.
Oof, close.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
Boise tips later today.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And you can check out all that stuff at fantasysixpack.net, or you could join their Discord page and just check out the betting group there, and you'll find out all sorts of information. But excited to be jumping in a little bit there with Fantasy Six Pack.
Absolutely.
All right, real quick before we get to the end of our show, looks like Lucas Glover is your leader in the clubhouse after firing a first-round 66. Pretty solid round there by the former
time machine.
Yeah, U.S. Open champion back, I think that was 2010, 2011, 2012, something like that.
Ago.
Or actually, it might have been even earlier than that.
Think,
yeah,
maybe.
I was still in high school when that went down. So, yeah, he's obviously off to a good start. And then Stephanie's, who joined us this past week, her Aaron Rye pick looking pretty good. He's 5 under through 16 holes. Yeah. Alex Smalley fired a nice first round 68. Stefan Yeager is at 4 under par. Joe Highsmith, who won earlier this year, I believe that was the Cognizant Classic at the Beaches. Still tough for me to not say the Honda Classic. Fired an opening round 69, so continuing his good play into a very, very difficult tournament.
Lucas Glover, your 2009 U.S. Open champion.
Man, it doesn't feel that long ago, but obviously it...
That was the year I moved here.
There you go. All right, and I do not think Scheffler has teed off yet. F-F-L-E-R. Oh, he's even through 1.
I was going to say they should have just gone.
Yep. Even through 1, and obviously he's going to have to get to at least 6 or 7 under par for those who pick Scheffler in our little contest to make that happen. One more time, want to mention the championship soccer game coming up this afternoon, 4 p.m. It'll be right there at University Academy on the turf field, where University Academy and Bayhaven Charter Academy will face off for the 4th straight time for the county championship. That'll be live streamed as well. You can just check out the Facebook page of the Bay County Extracurriculars and Athletics to find that. And I shared it on my own Facebook page as well if you want to check that out. On the other side of the bracket, you've got Mowat and Breakfast Point Academy playing for 5th place. North Bay Bayhaven and Surfside playing for 3rd place, and then Palm Bay and Jinx playing for 7th place. So as quickly as the soccer season came, as quickly as it'll go after today. But certainly looking forward to that one coming up this afternoon, as it's a beautiful afternoon out there.
I was going to say, you knew as it gets warmer, it's the end of soccer season.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt.
It's supposed to be played cold, you know.
It's so weird down here, you know, they play it in the coldest season. I get it, because, you know, spring and fall, it can still be pretty darn hot. You don't want to be playing soccer when it's 90 degrees.
That's
but
right.
I think I remember up in New Jersey, I want to say it was a fall sport, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly not a winter sport up there.
Oh, no, you can't play with a foot of snow on the ground.
No. I think our winter sports were basketball, ice hockey, and wrestling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. But
So I'm reading an interesting thing here. I'll get to it quickly. We've been talking a lot about, obviously, the new changes with everything in college sports and NIL, and obviously the next one is going to be with the House settlement, what they're going to do with roster limits. So swimming, which I'm obviously affiliated with, a lot more kids are going to get scholarship than have before, but half of some teams are cutting. Like, so Auburn has carried 40-plus swimmers on each side. They're going to have to cut literally in half.
Wow.
So I'll give you an example of the impact of this and how it's not just about seeking money like it is more in football and basketball. Last year, total, for the entirety of the year, 197 women entered the transfer portal in women's swimming. Yesterday, the first day it was open, mind you, we haven't had the NCAA championships yet.
Not even yet.
255 women entered, and most of those were because they've been cut from their programs. So while more people are going to get more scholarship money than have before, the totality of athletes having an opportunity to compete is getting cut severely. That's the real-world impact of this on the Olympic sports and why they're going to have to figure out how to market themselves and rebrand if they're going to survive.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, good for more scholarships, but to cut half the whole team, that's much more detrimental than
it will boost mid-majors, because a lot of those down-the-line athletes at the Auburns and Texases, they're now going to end up at the mid-majors, but now those schools have to invest in resources, and they may not be willing to do that for a revenue loser like a lot of the Olympic sports are.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. Just another wonderful decision that has a lot of trickle-down effect for sure. We've been talking about a lot of that stuff. We don't really have a ton of time left, but I did want to bring this one up as well. I don't know if you saw this, Brian, or not, but the Stanford coach, he said, I believe his name is Kyle Smith. He said the plan to improve the leagues, the ACC, the league's net ranking in future years. He said something. He mentioned this to Commissioner Jim Phillips. Smith proposes 2 divisions, a top tier and a second tier, based on a 5-year rolling average. The top tier teams would play each other twice, helping their net, and the second tier teams would play each other twice a year, helping them build. We've talked to Jim about relegation, so this might be my moment, trying to go 2 divisions, so you have a top play. The top play top. They'll probably be mad because I mentioned that, but do I think it would give you more opportunities if you played everyone twice in the top division, Champions and Premier League? I've been working on this. So SEC still trying to figure out a lot of different things to make the league more relevant.
It's tough. I mean, look, you could take any 10-year snapshot in history and the teams at the top changes. And, you know, we've talked about that with what the ACC's gone to with their payout schedule with like Clemson, Florida State. How would that impact? To me, a conference, it should be an equally shared thing, because this does change, and all you're going to do is give the haves a bigger advantage and the have-nots a bigger disadvantage. It should be equitable across the thing. And look, if a team's not measuring up to being a conference, let them loose from the conference.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, don't get into this paying one more or the other. It's just going to make things that much cloudier and that much more difficult. So on the face of it, I probably don't like this, but I'm interested to read more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian, I appreciate you hanging out with us on 30s, and looking forward to you on future Thursdays, talking all sorts of sports. David, have a great show this afternoon, Afternoon Underdogs, 4 to 6 p.m. If you want to sign up for our Fantasy Baseball League, just text 850-215-6290, name and email, and we'll be ready for it. You guys have been listening to The Inside Drive. Have a great rest of your day, and go Eagles.
Watch those eye drops.
ESPN ESPN Northwest Florida is taking it to the hole. Your home for the most live